Pacific Nations Cup semi-final number 2, folks. Fiji have blown away the Canadians 63 points to 10 in the third game in this kind of back-to-back-to-back triple header in the Pacific Nations Cup. They have set up a final with the Japanese. Remember, Canada had already qualified for the World Cup based on their spot in the semi-final. But yeah, it was a bit of a tough day at the office for them as the Fijians looked to play quick. They looked to play with power. The only thing that I think they'll be a bit upset about is the discipline. They had a couple of cards in this one which they won't want to do against Japan in the final. But we'll go through the key events and stats of the match. You guys can let us know your thoughts. If you'd be so kind, drop us a like or a comment or a subscribe or whatnot, because the Pacific Nations Cup stuff doesn't do as well as some like the Rugby Championship stuff and whatnot, but I certainly like covering these teams as well. Fiji, their intent was on the park very early. Rakuro only took 4 minutes to get on the board. They were playing at pace. They were getting the offloads going. A little dink through for him. 7 points to 0. Flying start for the Flying Fijians. Canada did manage to reply pretty much straight away with a penalty. So there was at least something. But that was their only points of the first half as Fiji just kept running in try after try. And some of their power and just the Canadian guys falling off tackles will be pretty hard to watch in the review. Vose got one on 9 minutes. Ravovo could have had that one, to be fair. He just passed it to him as he was already in the in-goal area. And again, it was the offloads that was doing it. 14 points to 3. Canada getting run over by Wanga on 15 minutes. He went straight over for a try. Maybe on review, that's the worst one in terms of just, I think 2 guys went straight at him and he just obliterated them. Amazing power. 21-3. And then when Canada were offside, Fiji just opted for a 3 just to kind of calm things down to make it 24-3. So 3-score game just for the Canadians to get even. It's realistically already game over by that point, I feel. I mean, Nelson went off for an HIA, so they lost their playmaker for a wee bit. He did come back. But yeah, they got the maul going. It went nowhere. It was shut down really well by Fiji's defense. And then Ravovo got one on the left wing from a snipe after the Fijians had a big line break. 31-3. Valentini was kicking pretty well to start with. They did lose a bit of the radar as the game went on, but he was striking them pretty sweetly anyway. The Fiji forwards got potentially my favorite try of the match through Maui on 32 minutes. Dude ran like 20 plus meters, the big prop. And it was the forwards, like the big front rowers, getting the offloads, which set it up. That one was a proper thing of beauty into some space. You love seeing a prop getting that kind of space around him. Nobody would want to tackle him. And when he's got that head of steam up, 38-3. Then Ndongia gets a yellow card for head-on-head, which does later in the start of the second half get upgraded to red. As I said, that's the one thing that they will not be too happy about with this performance. But yeah, you got to ask yourself, can Canada get points against the 14-men Fijian side? Well, they had a line out which was immediately pinged for obstruction. So the answer to that question was no. And despite having 14 men on the field, Rakuro, with his steps, got a second after the team had gone a bunch of phases. 43-3 at halftime. So the second half's not as bad. Like, as I said, 43-3, you're looking at a potential 80-point plus drubbing here. But it didn't quite blow out that much. The penalty count's 8-3 against the Canadians at halftime. The Fijians have had like well over 500 run meters. The Canadians are not even at 100. Possession was like 80-20. It was as about a lopsided as a game as you like to see. Second half, as I said, Ndongia gets the news that his card will be red. So it's a 20-minute red card for him. And yeah, they did get a yellow card not too long later as well, Fiji, but not before Nasova got a try to start the second half to make it 48-3. As I said, Wanga got one for a high tackle, which made it 15 against 13, and yet Fiji's defense still held. So, like, that's, for the Canadian review, not going to be that pretty. But as I said, like, well done, Fiji. You got practice playing with a couple men down. Fingers crossed you keep 15 on the field in the final. They had a shot at 3 points on 55 minutes to at least take some of the card time down, which I think was sensible. 51-3. Ravovo with a show and go gets a second. 58-3. Canada did get the try in the second half, which was at least something to shout about. the big carry from their number 8. And then Gallagher with the gas, the replacement halfback. He was actually pretty quick. So they got 10 points on the board, the Canadians, but the Fijians weren't done. Mata looked to have got one, but it was TMO'd. And then Ravovo did get his hat trick to make it 63-10. That was on 66 minutes. So the final 15 minutes kind of peters out with no scoring. The Canadians did kind of chuck the kitchen sink at Fiji. Fiji had a bit of possession as well. But, I mean, I was just pleased the Canadians kept playing and didn't just kind of, wave the white flag. I mean, you're 60 points, or at least 53 points down. But, they kept on playing, which is at least something ahead of the next round of the comp. 9 tries to 1. That's pretty... Yeah, it's pretty impactful for the Fijians. 8 turnovers to 3 for Fiji. Line breaks 8 to 3 as well. Possession 60-40. Tackle percent for Canada 73, which is just too low. Voasese had 3 turnovers, 1. The number 8 for Canada had 17 tackles. Matt Oram, which is at least something. And we had the referee's microphone seemingly on the entire time as he was kind of huffing and puffing in the thin Colorado air. But that is the game. Ravovo, man, he's pretty sharp, isn't he? Got a few line breaks and some tries. Fiji against Japan is going to be a good game. But this one, like Japan's game earlier, was a bit of a blowout. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Is this game good prep for Fiji, or is it a bit too much of a training one? Either way, as like I said, Canada's already through the World Cup. Likewise, Tonga, who lost earlier in their game. So, yeah, interesting times. Pacific Nations Cup. You guys take care, and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.